Hey guys, I hope you guys are having a great day, and I know I'm starting a new What If when I already still have two in the making. I promise I'll make more parts for both of those series, and they will be finished probably by the end of this year, and this one should be finished by January. With that said, I hope you guys are having a great day, and this is What If Naruto Started His Own Village. Let's get into it. We would pick up our story right after Naruto steals the scroll of sealing. After he steals the scroll of sealing, he would learn obviously the shadow clone, but he would also find a small tidbit of information in the Hokage's office. Instead of, Naruto just leaving with the scroll, he would decide to look through some other scrolls, eventually finding one about the Nine Tails, and he just decided to read it because he knows what the Nine-Tailed Fox is. This would allow him to figure out that he is actually the Jinchuriki of the Nine-Tailed Fox, which would shock him. He would then realize that not only that, but his father and mother were, Minato Namikaze and Kushina Uzumaki. Naruto would gasp before eventually hearing the Hokage groan, realizing that he might just be getting up. Naruto would throw the scroll back, pick up the scroll of sealing, and run to meet Mitsuki. After that, Mitsuki would, I always didn't understand the anime why Mitsuki was just coming out there and just saying, hey, yo, what's up? Even though he's a cocky bastard, you still think he'd be somewhat smart and just not let Naruto see him in plain view, which is exactly what he would do. He would jump Naruto out of nowhere and knock him out. I mean, he's a Chunin, Naruto's not even a fucking Genin. Although Naruto would know the shadow clone, Naruto couldn't react in time to, a Chunin speed. Yeah, sure, you can beat the shit out of him with 1,000 shadow clones, but Naruto, not only was Iruka not nearly dying, so Naruto wasn't enraged, Naruto was just too happy to be paying attention. After all, he knew his father was the 4th fucking Hokage, so he was really happy about that. But after this, he would get jumped, and right before Mitsuki's actually about to kill him, Iruka would come in, and that fight would go per normal, but instead, Naruto can't save Iruka, so Iruka, sadly, would actually be killed. But right before Mitsuki could escape, Naruto would try to get up, and then Mitsuki would say, "You really think there's anyone left for you in that stupid village? Oh, don't worry, I left you a surprise. Now, do you want to know your surprise?" Naruto would grit his teeth. "What are you talking about? What surprise? You've killed Iruka-sensei. What surprise are you talking about?" "Oh, don't worry. It wasn't just Iruka that I killed. After all, I know how much you love that ramen shop." No. What did you... "Oh, don't worry. I made sure not to spare either of them." Naruto would then feel tears welled up in his eyes before screaming in just agonized pain. Then Naruto would gain a orange chakra around him, almost like a cloak, and then his eyes would turn red and slit-like. His teeth would grow until they were sharpened, like that of a saber-toothed tiger, and his fingernails would turn into claws, and his whiskers would protrude even more. He would be almost like a feral beast at this point. And as if Naruto and Kurama were feeling the exact same emotion at the exact same time, they would simultaneously say, "You're gonna pay for that." Naruto would jump forward, summoning nearly 1,000 shadow clones, or rather summoning exactly 1,000 shadow clones. And if you thought just regular Rage Naruto, like a slight amped, this Naruto just freaking, probably 20 shadow clones would have been enough. Hell, I think 10 shadow clones would have been enough to body Mitsuki, or Mitsuki, either one. I don't really know how to pronounce his name, I can't remember. And he actually does end up killing him rather than just incapacitating him. But Naruto would then go out of this mode. He would hear a voice in the back of his head. "Kid." "Huh? Who is it?" "It is I, the Nine-Tailed Fox. Now,
kid. You realize that you have a scroll that can give you all the power that you want. Just take it and leave. No one even knows you're out here. Take that and leave.
Why would I leave? My father was the Hokage.
No one cares about you. You understand that, right? Hiruzen claims to, but he doesn't. You know Kakashi Hatake? You've heard of him, I'm sure.
Kind of.
Yeah. He was your sensei's student, yet has he done anything for you? Nah, absolutely not. And on top of all of this, 2 of the people that care about you, hell no, the 3 only people that cared about you in this village, are now killed. Are now dead. Is it really worth staying when nobody gives a shit if you live or die? Do you really think your father would even want you to stay at this point?
I never knew him, so I couldn't say, but
you're right. It'd be better for me to just leave anyways. No one wants to me to become a...
God, I can't even speak. Iruka. Damn it. Why? Why was I so weak? Why was I so stupid? You're right, You're right, Ninetales. It's better for me to leave.
Attaboy. I would say destroy the village, but... after 12 years of being in your fucking mind, I can already tell you that you wouldn't accept that, would you?
No. I can't accept that. Especially knowing who my father is. He wouldn't want me to destroy the village. Let's go, QB. Naruto would grab the scroll of sealing before darting away into the forest. Making his way through the forest, he would then look back one last time, standing in a tree on top of it and looking at the village. He would look at his village and he would see it at night. It was really pretty from where he was standing, and he would give a slight smile, somewhat reminiscing in the good times he had in that village, although there were little to none of those times. He still remembered them. Every time he went to Ichiraku Ramen was one of them, as well as his interactions with Teuchi, Ayame, and Iruka. One day, he would find a way. He would find a way to bring them back. But he knew that was practically impossible. And he knew that Iruka wouldn't want that. Hell, none of them would. Although it was a good idea for a split second, Naruto then realized that he should just let them rest in peace. It was for the best anyways. Naruto would sigh before eventually running away from the village for good. Naruto would continue down this treacherous path of wandering and getting scrap to eat because he wasn't the best with kunai, so hunting was something that was horrible for him, although he did train with the kunai and the shuriken arts, as well as training multiple other jutsu in his book. Kurama would actually help him with the jutsu in the Scroll of Sealing. Sorry, I said book. The Scroll of Sealing. Naruto eventually would be able to completely master the Shadow Clone technique, which isn't that far off because he managed to master it by the time he was battling Kakashi, for God's sakes. He would also manage to not master, but be able to do pretty good chakra control. After this, Naruto would learn the fire style fire dragon jutsu, seeing as he did not have a water affinity, nor did he have an earth affinity. He found this out from just thrown away pieces of chakra paper from the neighboring lands to Konoha, or the neighboring places to Konoha, like, you know, something that would be like the Land of Waves or something like that. But obviously not the Land of Waves that's terrorized by Gato, but other places, you know, like the smaller villages here or there. And he would just find random ones thrown in the trash, because some people like try, but they don't know proper chakra control, so they can't figure it out, and so they just throw it away. So yeah, he would use that, and he would find out that his chakra affinities are lightning, fire, and wind. He would then mature the fire dragon until he could use both the lightning and wind dragons as well. He could also Kurama knew a couple of basic jutsus in every release, so he would learn the wind style gale palm and the wind style wind bullet. He would learn the lightning style paralyzing palm and the lightning style snake lightning. And finally, he would learn the fire style fireball and the fire style flaming phoenix jutsu. This would happen in all somewhere around a 3-month to 5-month period. Naruto, as we know, is like freaking mega prodigy. He picked up the shadow clone jutsu in one motherfucking night. Like, god damn, that's impressive. Like, it takes Jonin years to perfect that jutsu, and they can only do like what, 2, 4. What? I mean, Tobirama fucking Senju was only shown to do like 10 shadow clones, as well as Sasuke Uchiha, who was like, I mean, I'm talking adult Sasuke, who was literally 6 paths powers. Like, he has 6 fucking paths powers, and he's only doing 10 shadow clones. So yeah, that's pretty fucking impressive, not gonna lie. So that's why I'm saying he learns all this stuff in a 5-month period. He would also be able to eventually mature his body to where he could handle the one-tailed state. Now, we know that Part 1 Naruto could handle the one-tailed state, and so I believe that he would. Now, I don't know of all the jutsus that are in the Forbidden Scroll. I may have said Rasengan was in it in some of my other videos, but that's actually kind of iffy. We know the Flying Raijin, we know the Shadow Clone and Multi-Shadow Clone, and we know the Exploding Clone, as well as the Water Dragon in all its variants, are, for a fact, in that, thing. In the scroll, but I don't really, canonicity-wise, I don't think we know of any other jutsus. If I'm wrong, please tell me in the comments. But I'm just gonna say that he learns all that stuff for now, and since he doesn't have anything else to learn besides, well, the Exploding Clone, which he could just pick up in a day, because the Exploding Clone is it's just a variant of the Shadow Clone, which Naruto can make pretty easily. And he would start working on his Flying Raijin jutsu, but right as he starts work on his Flying Raijin jutsu, or like, I don't know, maybe a week or 2 after, he's just starting it, so he's gotten barely any progress. Like, he's sort of been able to make the seal, but that was like once, and that was really lucky, and it doesn't do anything. He just made the seal, and he doesn't remember how he did it. But this is when he would run into 2 people who would change his life forever. Naruto would probably be eating at somewhere that was close to Ichiraku Ramen. It would be a ramen shop, and although Naruto would be greatly saddened by seeing ramen and not seeing the friendly face of Teuchi and Ayame, he would be glad that he was able to eat ramen. After all, he was able to make a small amount of money by, well, rather not make it, but steal it. He was quite nimble and quite fast. Being a shinobi, not a lot of people could catch him, especially when he could run up walls and dart between roofs. He was basically able to pickpocket his way through surviving, and this would allow Naruto to basically be able to pay for his meals. Now, obviously, he would pickpocket people and probably go to like either the other side of that village or that land, or he would probably just skip on to the next one to eat, or he could also hunt. But let's just say he's in a village or something like that, like a small town, and he's eating ramen. Then 2 people would sit beside him. A man with a big broadsword on his back, and another person who had their hair tied back and 2 black streaks of hair coming down around the face. The other one looked really pretty, the one with the black hair. The one with the broadsword looked pretty menacing and had bandages over the bottom of his mouth, almost as if it was a face mask. He also had 2 armbands on his arms, wore a black tank top, and had cargo pants as well as ninja boots. The broadsword on his back had a small circle at the end of it, and then a semicircle close to the hilt of the blade. It almost looked like it was made for perfectly cutting off people's heads. And the man who had the broadsword had his headband a little crooked, not to the point where it was covering his eye, but just a little crooked. The other one didn't have a headband, or rather they did, but it almost looked like it was weird. Until eventually, Naruto would notice that both of their headbands were crossed out, signaling that they were missing Nin. Naruto didn't have a headband, he hadn't gained his. He would have probably had to do that as well, but now no one was really hunting him. And since Naruto would be able to learn storage scrolls from the Scroll of Sealing, since that possibly could be in it as well. I'm not going to put like the Rasengan in it, although it might be in there because Kakashi knows it. I'm just going to say theoretically it's not in there, and even if it is, you guys can tell me in the comments. So yeah, you know. But continuing, the other person, or the one with the long hair, had an astonishingly beautiful face, looking like one of the most beautiful women that Naruto had ever seen in his life. And yeah, he had seen a lot of women in his life, like not personally, but you know, he had seen different like women shinobi, women in the village, and that had to have been the most beautiful woman he had seen in his life. And it had the perfect skin, like perfect shiny skin, and the face of an angel. That person wore a green kimono and, as I said, had their hair tied up in a bun with 2 black streaks running down the sides of their face. The 2 missing ninja would sit and they would eat their ramen pretty quickly, with the guy with the broadsword having to take off his bandages to eat. He almost had pointy teeth, which kind of scared Naruto at first, but then intrigued him. He thought it was really cool for someone to have spiky teeth. He had never seen that before. But they would finish their ramen. The guy with the bandages would pull up, or the guy with the broadsword would pull up his bandages back over his face, and he would proceed to walk out, as well as the other person beside him. They would both start walking down the street, and eventually they would disappear in a body flicker. Naruto would actually decide to follow after them, being somewhat intrigued by them, especially knowing that they were shinobi. He would eventually be caught tracking, and Zabuza and Haku would surround him, saying, "Are you a tracking ninja?" What? No, I'm not even a ninja. I don't even have a headband. Actually, I was never able to get mine. I kinda couldn't pass the academy.
The academy? The guy with the broadsword would say. What academy?
The academy at Konoha. I couldn't exactly pass it. And I really didn't have anyone left, so I just left the village, you know? I've been running away and living off scraps for months now. Having a couple of decent meals here or there. I've also been training a whole lot. I bet I could go back to the academy and become a genin right away. Well then, the person in the green kimono would say. I guess since you're not a tracking ninja, I can tell that you're not lying. Can't you, Zabuza?
Yes, of course I can, Haku. After all, I'm not called the Demon of the Mist for nothing. I'm not an idiot.
Whoa, the Demon of the Mist? That's such a cool nickname.
It's not a nickname, kid, it's a title.
Yeah, same. It's the same thing.
No, it's really not.
Well, yeah, whatever, Mr. Zabuza. That sword's really cool. Where'd you get it? Could I get one like that?
Oh, kid, there's only one kind of this sword in the world. This is the Executioner's Blade, one of the 7 legendary swords of the Mist.
So, you stole it?
What do you mean I stole it? No, I was given it.
But you're a missing nin.
So didn't you technically steal it?
A slight laughter would come to the person who is known as Haku, the person wearing the green kimono. Well, technically, yes you did, Zabuza. Since we became missing ninja, we are technically criminals, and you technically stole it.
This sword is rightfully mine. It's not the Mist's property, it is mine. I was given to it by my master, and I will not let anybody take it away from me just because they claim it's their villages. This sword belongs to me. What are you doing out here, kid, and why were you tracking us?
You guys are shinobi, and I know you guys aren't leaf shinobi, so... Can we join forces? I promise I'm strong. I've been training, as I said. I'm strong, I promise you. Maybe not Jonin level, but maybe Chunin, possibly? I don't really know. I've never tested out my strength against anyone. Well, except for, like, petty thugs that tried to rob me, but they were pretty easy. They didn't know any chakra control, and I could just use shadow clones.
So you can use shadow clones. Well, that's a B-rank jutsu right there. That's already impressive. But not that impressive. It's just, well, it's something that you wouldn't expect a kid as young as you to know. Well, kid, let's see. You'll fight me. Heck, I won't even use Executioner's Blade. I'll just use my bare taijutsu and ninjutsu, and I won't even go that hard against you. If you can, let's see. If you can either defeat me and or prove your worth, even if you don't defeat me, if you prove that you will be a valuable asset, then, yeah, sure, why not, kid? I guess you can come with us. Really? You'd be willing to do that? Thank you so much, Mr. Zabuza. I won't let you down. Stop with that Mr. Zabuza shit, kid. Just call me Zabuza for fuck's sake. Oh, alright, Zabuza. Oh, wait. By the way, kid, what's your name? Naruto, sir. Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto, eh? Well, let's see if you really are as good as that shit as the thing they put in ramen. Well, I promise you, sir, I don't taste as good as that. I'm not gonna actually eat you, kid. What the fuck do you think I am? Well, you have pointy teeth, so you kinda look like a shark. I may be called the demon of the mist, but that doesn't mean I'm a fucking cannibal. Haku would laugh in the back, obviously enjoying this conversation. And you, pretty lady. Your name's Haku, right? Pretty lady, you say? Haku's a boy, you nitwit. A boy? What? A boy? Are you serious? Yes, I'm serious. Why wouldn't I be? But he's so pretty. Questioning your sexuality, kid? Don't worry, it's not like this hasn't happened before. Haku has had plenty of guys ask him out. Yes, it's rather embarrassing. But that's not important. For now, let us begin the match. I will be the referee. 3, 2, 1, Hajime! Naruto and Zabuza would get into position. Zabuza would stab his executioner's blade in the ground before forming 2 water clones and then jumping at and then having those 2 go after Naruto, while Zabuza in the back would then continue to weave through hand signs. Naruto would see Zabuza in the back weaving through hand signs and see that Zabuza was taking a while, as Naruto would create 100 shadow clones of himself before going into his regular amped state. All of his clones would follow him, having all Naruto able to pass the Kyuubi, or rather, as he knew him now, Kurama's chakra to the others as well. So now you have a bunch of cloaked Narutos, which all could take out Zabuza. So yeah, that's fun. So yeah, they quickly just frickin' body Zabuza's 2 clones, and then they all disperse, Naruto then powering up into his one-tailed state. Zabuza, seeing this, would immediately just start to shit his pants. This kid was a Jinchuriki, and if they had a Jinchuriki on their side, it would be like a small terrorist organization having a motherfucking tactical nuke. So Zabuza then calls the match and says, "Kid, you defeat me. I fucking give. Yeah, sure, you can come with us. You should have just said you were a Jinchuriki in the first place." Is that the only reason you want me along? No, kid. No, kid, of course not. You would have whooped my ass. I know that for a fact. I may be strong, but I'm nowhere near Jinchuriki level, especially if you know how to go a tailed state. God damn. Are you a perfect Jinchuriki? Not really. It's not like I can go 8 tails or anything. I see. Well, do you talk to it or something? Oh yeah, me and Kurama. Well, yeah, we have a lot of conversations. Kurama? Naruto, who's Kurama? Oh, oops. Sorry, Kurama. Naruto would say in his mind. It's okay, kid. After all, I have a feeling we're gonna be stuck with these people for a while.
Yeah, I guess you're right. Well then, I guess we should get going, huh?
Yeah. Come on, kid. After all, you are pretty strong, but you could use a little work. After all, I might even be able to train you in Kenjutsu. Do you think you'd be proficient in the sword? After all, you said your name was Naruto Uzumaki, right? If there's one thing I knew about the Uzumaki, or rather two things, it's their fucking massive reserves of chakra, and secondly, that a lot of them were, especially back in my time of Kushina Uzumaki, she was quite good with a blade. In fact, that's one of the Uzumaki's specialties, besides sealing jutsu.
Oh, really? I didn't even know that. Sure, I'd love to train with a sword. After all, it may not be as badass as yours, but, you know, it'd still be pretty cool walking up with a sword looking like a samurai.
Yeah, kid, but never forget who's better. Shinobi are the best.
Yeah, I know that, of course. They would all laugh before eventually leaving. Naruto would eventually ditch his old suit, being dressed in a black t-shirt and a vest that looked similar to the Ambu of the leaf. And he would also wear ninja combat sweatpants, ninja combat boots, and have a sword strapped to his back. He would also wear a mask similar to Haku's. In fact, it was similar to Haku's in every way except for the fact that it had red markings on it for the nine-tailed fox. Naruto would basically look like a member of the Leaf Anbu, only without the headband. And after a while, Zabuza and Haku would find that Naruto is stronger than both of them combined, although they do manage to be able to train him, and they allow Naruto to push past his limits and eventually master the Flying Raijin Jutsu, training him for 2 years, Naruto becoming a master in Kenjutsu, as well as the Flying Raijin Jutsu, officially making the Scroll of Sealing useless unless Naruto thinks, and he decides to help the others train with the jutsus in the Scroll of Sealing. Now, the entire Scroll of Sealing is known by 3 people in the world. Well, at least the 3 people Naruto knows, because obviously Hiruzen probably knows everything, but not the Flying Raijin. So, yeah, they're the only 3 in the world that know all of the jutsus from there. Although it does take a lot longer, nearly 1.5 years for Zabuza and Haku to learn all of the stuff, but they are able to pick it all up. Obviously, they have different dragons than Naruto. Obviously, Zabuza and Haku both now knowing the water dragon, but Zabuza also, I don't know if he has another affinity, but I'm just going to give him the earth affinity, having him know the earth dragon jutsu, and Haku knowing the wind dragon jutsu because of his wind affinity. After that, then Naruto, Zabuza, and Haku would eventually come across a road one day. Well, obviously they'd just be walking on the road to their next pit stop and probably their next job, since they are still mercenaries like Zabuza and Haku were in the original canon. At this point they would be 14. The Land of Waves arc would have happened, but probably, fucking Sasuke could have handled all the goons by his goddamn self. And for plot convenience, we're just gonna say that on Sasuke, Sakura, and Kakashi's team, Sai is the person that was on there because, I don't know, fucking Danzo's a creep, and he wanted Sai on there to spy on those young Uchiha eyes. Because Danzo's a fucking weirdo, and he would probably do something like that. Anyways, Naruto, Zabuza, and Haku would be walking on a road and eventually come across a young boy somewhere around Naruto's age. So he's not like young. He's like 14. He's Naruto's age, or at least he looks like it. And he's walking around with a bow staff. It is a bow staff, but it's more like he's tapping around with it, because it actually looks like he's actually blind, because he has a blindfold. One of his arms is actually wrapped around him, and he wears a blue kimono similar to Danzo's. Trust me, he's not a Danzo fan. He doesn't even know who the fuck Danzo is, because who the hell's a Danzo fan? Get the fuck out if you're a Danzo fan. Now, if you say Danzo's a good villain, he is a good villain, because he's an asshole. And nobody likes assholes, and everybody wants assholes to die. Now, he's not a good villain in the fact that he has good motives. He's a good villain in the fact that he deserved to fucking die. Anyways, continuing, they would eventually meet the boy known as Rasha Yami. He doesn't come from any specific clan, or at least any clan that was noted in history as one being extremely powerful. They would eventually basically learn that he actually does know how to see, and was just pretending so that people like robbers and other unassuming people might try to rob him and he could get free cash off of them, basically pulling a Uno reverse card, seeming weak and seeming frail and blind, only to get their asses whooped. He could actually see quite well, being a sensory ninja similar to a Hyuga or a Sage Mode type Naruto, being such good at sensory that he's basically just Toph Beifong from Avatar. He can literally make out a human figure even though he's fucking blind, and he can pick out such similar energy signatures that he can tell the difference between a shadow clone and a real person, which is broken. In fact, he can tell the difference between a wood clone and a normal person. Even though this wasn't tested, it's just the way it is. He's a really fucking good sensory ninja. He can even sense the energy signatures of animals, summons, and even specific types of jutsu. In fact, he could name the jutsu being used through the energy signatures from the hand seals being used by the person. So yeah, he's fucking broken in the terms of just sensory. He's also incredibly good with the bow staff, and as they learn Kenjutsu, because he has a short blade, sort of like Sasuke's, from Shippuden. Not current Sasuke in this timeline, but from Shippuden in the original timeline. Because of this, they are able to basically he's already good at Kenjutsu, so they don't need to teach him that. They wouldn't have wanted to anyways because he's blind, but they learned that he's actually really good at it for some odd but really cool reason. Yeah, they actually find out that he's quite the badass and is actually proficient in all 5 chakra natures, being able to use 2 simple jutsu from each one, such as the mud wall and a complex jutsu, the mud, or not really too complex, but just the mud sink, like the toad mud floor, or whatever. He could also use the Wind Style Gale Palm, Wind Style Wind Bullet, Fire Style Fireball, Fire Style Flaming Phoenix, or Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Sorry, I call it Flaming Phoenix Jutsu, it's the Phoenix Flower Jutsu. He can also use the Lightning Style Paralyzing Palm and the Lightning Style Snake Lightning, and finally he can use the Water Style Water Bullet and the Water Style Water Prison, or Water Dome. No, it's Water Prison. He would eventually be the only member of the group to use all 5 chakra natures to do all 5 types of water dragons. He would also learn the rest of the Scroll of Seeing, as he is even more of a prodigy than Naruto, able to seemingly pick up jutsus the first time he sees them for some odd and strange reason. No one really knows why or how he's able to do this, but he just does. Eventually, they would hatch a plan to recruit the Jinchuriki to a small organization that they would eventually call the Typhoons. Just the Typhoons, which is kind of lame, but it's whatever. Eventually, they would recruit the Jinchuriki. Not all of them, obviously. Gaara still stays with his village because, he's still, his father is still there, even though he doesn't really like his father. He's literally commanded to stay there. Roshi doesn't leave. Yagura is the fucking Mizukage, and he's under Obiko's Genjutsu, so he really can't leave. Fucking Roshi is so determined to protect his small little town that he's like, nah, fuck no, bro. But, not really fuck no, but yeah, bro, I would if I didn't swear to protect this village with all my life because they actually care about my well-being. And Naruto's like, bro, respect, I get it, I'm gonna head out. but they actually do, like, Roshi says, like, whenever you need me, you know where to find me, and I'm always up to help a fellow Jinchuriki. But they do manage to recruit, and obviously, you know, Yukito and Killer Bee are fucking, their entire allegiance is to the Cloud Village, because they just, even though they weren't treated the best, they're still, like, well-renowned shinobi. But they do manage to recruit Utakata, because he's really an outcast. He's like really an outcast, as well as Han, who basically is just I think he does. Yeah, he's a stone affiliated ninja, but he just doesn't fucking care, and he's been on his own for like years now. So he's like, fuck it. You know what? I'm gonna have civilization again. And of course, the best girl. Well, not really best girl, but like at the same time, best girl, Fu. So they would have the 8, 6, 5, and 9 tails all in the same organization, which made them somewhat known throughout Konoha, especially since that's where they were mainly spotted, and the Stone Village, since they had both of their Jinchuriki, which was a major blow to the Stone Village. Actually, no, Fu is in the waterfall. Never mind. But yeah, Han, and then the Waterfall Village wouldn't necessarily care, but they would kind of care because Fu was, you know, their Jinchuriki, and that was kind of important. Eventually, they would stumble upon an island, and they would name it the Village Hidden in Typhoons, based off of their lamely named organization, making it into something much better. It would actually be called Kagakure. Kari Hakakure? Yeah, Kari Hagakure. Yeah, because, sorry, I'm not good with Japanese. Yeah, Kari Hagakure. Or the Village Hidden in Typhoons, or Village Hidden in Hurricanes. And it is southeast to the Land of Fire. So it is across an ocean, and it is surrounded by 3 massive hurricanes, or 3 massive typhoons. But they're easily passed by Fu, being a perfect Jinchuriki, just going like full Chome mode and being able to fly them all over there, with also Rasha revealing something pretty unique about himself, actually having an eagle summoning similar to Sasuke's. Shippuden normal timeline, as you could probably guess. Doing this, eventually they would all decide to make a village. They would pick up, you know, like orphans that would come into their organization. Eventually their organization would get up so big that they literally have to make like a village, because they have like over 100 people at this point. They have farmers who just decided, hey, maybe taxes will be better, and other things, to the point where they become like a small town, and eventually just decide to call themselves the Village Hidden in the Typhoons, or Harigakure. I got it. Fucking hell, man. But Zabuza, being one of the original members of the group that, you know, kind of brought everybody together, would become the Harikage, which is the Kage of the Harigakure. But Naruto, basically, Zabuza saying, yeah, this kid's fucking stronger than me. Like, we all fucking know this. And Naruto at this point would still be training, but I do believe that he may, like, he'd be, like, close to getting the two-tailed cloak, but he wouldn't actually have it yet, because that would just be a little too broken. So, Yukata, Han, and Haku are all made Jonin of the village, but Naruto, Rasha, and Fu would all remain Genin, or would all become Genin. They would actually have official headbands, and the headbands would have a swirling symbol like the Uzumaki clan, to pay respect to the true leader of the village. But Naruto wouldn't make any, like, you know, fucking decisions. He would just be like the Shadow Harikage, sort of like how Danzo was the Shadow Hokage, and then in the current Boruto timeline, Sasuke is the Shadow Hokage. He would be like the Shadow Harikage. He wouldn't make any major decisions, but he would just basically be like the true founder of this, as well as basically the backbone of it. Like, obviously there are other like skilled people like Haku, Utakata, Han, and a couple of others that would actually join the village along the way, such as Itoro and Metoro, which, and their last name is Konjiki. They are twins, and they are from novels only. Etoro knows Lava Release, and Metoro knows Steel Release. Steel Release is a special release Keiki Genkai that isn't known throughout the world. It's very rare to have, and Steel Release basically allows you to manipulate steel. So it's basically kind of like, what's it called? Shin Uchiha's Mankai Gekyo. It's basically, he can, like, manipulate weapons, he can, like, metal bend and stuff like that. So basically kind of like that. And Etoro obviously has, Lava Release. But Metoro also has Yang Release, sorry. Yang is the good side. Yeah, he has Yang Release, which is pretty rare as well. They would also hire Futsu, which he knows Boyo Release, and he was actually in the same organization as Oyashiro, which he is a part of the Chinoiki clan, and his daughter Chino, unfortunately his wife would be dead, but he and his daughter would both, his daughter being a little too young to become a shinobi yet, but she would be old enough over a little bit of time, and Oyashiro would have unlocked his Ketsuryogan. And his daughter would also have unlocked her Ketsuryogan, but didn't really know how to use it because, well, her mother had literally just, like, she had just died, like, a couple months ago. And that's why they joined Naruto. Futsu, obviously being under Inyo Oyashiro, would say, hey, you know what, fuck it, I'm just gonna go with my boss, Mr. In. And also, last but not least, of course not, Pakura would actually be able to join the village, because before she died, Zabuza would actually mention her as having a really good Kekkei Genkai, and Naruto would talk to her, and she would realize that, obviously, like, she knew that her village was going to betray her, she just allowed it to happen because she saw it as the village saw her as a threat, and she just let it happen. But she actually does escape this time, seeing as, although she did think it was to protect the village, she realized, through, you know, Naruto having that sweet, the best fucking jutsu in the entire Naruto world, talk no jutsu. Yeah, he just fucking talks no jutsu her, and she just decides, you know what, fuck it. Fuck the sand village. Fuck every village. I'm gonna go with this village, because it's fucking great. And also talk no jutsu. Just, fuck it. After this, the Chunin Exams would be announced. And because of the Chunin Exams being able to be announced, or being announced, they would eventually be able to participate in the Chunin Exams, having 2 Genin teams go. After all, Zabuza, he sent Haku to negotiate, and Haku would come back with the great news that they are able to negotiate. And if you're wondering how is this village going to stay, like, fed and shit like that, like, obviously, like, they have farmers, but how is it going to have a working economy if it can't make money from trading because of the giant hurricanes? Well, it kind of has the same solution as the village in the whirlpools, as in, they have sections where you can get through, but they're such wide line of sight so that, like, you could see them coming through. So they're technically not really completely protected, but you can also fly over the hurricanes. If you fly over the clouds fly over the clouds before you fly over the hurricanes, and multiple people, such as Haku and really skilled Jonin, would learn the summoning jutsu. Now, Etoro, Metoro, and Futsu would all be made Chunin of the village, seeing as they have a really powerful Kekkei Genkai and were really good at it. Oyashiro would actually decide to not become a shinobi, but rather a businessman, becoming a entrepreneur, and having a company that makes clothing, and being able to use his Ketsuryogan to actually manipulate, the sewing needle completely perfectly, basically becoming his own sewing machine. And his daughter Chino, his daughter Chino would actually be want to become a shinobi so that she could protect her father, and he would say he was fine with that, but that he would teach her about only the Ketsuryogan because he didn't really know anything else. And Pakura would actually decide that she would take Chino under her wing, seeing as, well, I mean, she's basically a part of the shinobi group. And Pakura would decide, yeah, I'll train her. Fuck it, why not? And Pakura would also become a Jonin. After all of this, there would be a couple of like fodder Chunin and fodder Jonin. Like obviously they're not fodder, they're pretty decent, but they're only there because like they're missing Nin and they're nobody important, so they're technically fodder. So they weren't really like they were Jonin and they were Chunin in their villages, but they didn't really do anything noteworthy. They were just, they just left because they fucking wanted to. Or maybe they had a good reason, who knows. But they weren't anybody like important. Sure, they were wanted, but they weren't like important, if you catch my drift. So after this would lead straight into the Chunin Exams. Alright, so quick editor's note. I actually, Futsu and Chino are actually Genin level. They actually go to the Chunin Exams with the other two squads. So, yeah, I made a kind of a big oopsie. Also, Inuyashiro, although he is an entrepreneur, is also a Jonin leader as well. So yeah, keep that in mind as we continue into the story. The two teams going to Konoha for the Chunin Exams would be a disguised Naruto having his hair dyed brown and having his mask on and his normal attire. Fu and Rasha, that would be Team 1 under Pakura. Team 2 would be Futsu, Chino, and Kinta, another kid, who I'll explain in a second, under In Oyashiro, going specifically because it's his daughter, and that's his squad as well. But mostly because his daughter's going. And so I'll have to explain Kinta first. So we know that Naruto is Naruto, Fu is Fu. Rasha is really good at like a lot of jutsu as well as being a hella good sensory ninja. Futsu has Boyo release and he's a pretty good ninja. And Chino has the Ketsuryogan, obviously, and was trained by Pakura, as well as his father. Kinta is actually from Sangakure, or the village in the sand, and has a really good manipulation of puppets. So he's a really good puppet master, basically, so much better than fucking lame-ass Konkuro. Lame-ass Konkuro. Fucking Konkuro sucks, dude. Like, honestly, in part 1 he was pretty banger, but fucking ship it in, he just fucking sucked. But this guy, so much better. He's not sorcery level, but he's probably like old lady Chio level. Like, not prime Chio and not sorcery level, but over time and with training he'd probably get there. Because Konkuro, even with the fucking god puppets, couldn't even fucking do anything in the goddamn war arc. He couldn't do anything in Boruto except die. What a loser. So yeah, they are going to take the Chunin Exams. Now, both of these squads are fucking super good because, well, one of the teams is like, oh, I don't know, two-tailed beasts who just happen to be the 7 and 9 tails who could each on their own probably fucking destroy Konoha. Not only that, you have obviously Pakura, who was hailed as literally something so dangerous that her own village was going to kill her. In Oyashiro and Chino both having a fucking jutsu, or a dojutsu, that literally was able to go 1v1 against a fucking 6-pass Sasuke, which was incredibly fucking just broken. Kinta, who's a better version of Konkuro, and Konkuro was already slapping in the Chunin Exams. Futsu, who has Boyo release, literally one of the great Kekkei Genkai, which is basically powerful enough to destroy, or rather melt, Ice Release, which was said to literally be impossible, but he tested out this against Haku's Demon Ice Mirrors, and this worked, and everybody was freaked out about it, because Naruto and the rest of them were all under the impression that they couldn't be melted, but Rasha, obviously he knew this was going to happen, saying that Boyo Release was a combination of 2 different chakra natures, as well as Ice Release, saying that it was probably the perfect combination to destroy Ice Release, being the counters to Wind and Water, being Wind that counters, wait, does Wind counter Water? no, lightning counters earth. So I think wind does counter water, and then obviously the fire counters the wind and the water. I don't know, but fire should melt ice, and boil release is just better heat. Boil release melts ice release. Fuck it. Just because. Plot it. Fuck. Throw it in the plot because I want it. That was basically fucking Kishimoto at the end of Shippuden. Hey, you know what'd be cool? If we just had this fucking giant lady come out of fucking nowhere, fuck over the coolest goddamn Naruto character since, I don't know, fucking Naruto. Well, why you gotta fuck over Naruto like that? I mean, fucking Madara like that. You're so fucking dumb. What the fuck's wrong with you? Anyways, so yeah, they have all these fucking badass people who, like, are basically just fucking each respectively probably Kage level. Like, probably not Kinta. Kinta's probably not Kage level. And Futsu, not yet, but he could become Kage level since, you know, Mizukage Mei just had boil release and lava release. And she didn't really use either of them that much. And Futsu is going to use them that much. Or a good amount. And Chino, obviously, not much younger than she is right now. Or not much older. Because, oh God, I have to age up Chino a bit. So at this point, yeah, she would be 13. Fucking hell, man. Yeah, wasn't she like 14? No, she'd be 14 at the moment. Wasn't she 14 when she fucked over Sasuke? Oh my God. What the legitimate fuck? Okay, it's official. Chino in this universe is literally the most powerful person right now. And it's probably gonna be that way for a while. So, let's get straight back into the story and get into the first round of the Chunin Exams. Now, both teams would pass with flying colors, Rasha actually having Naruto read the questions to him, and obviously the guy, Ibiki, who was making him take the test, wouldn't care about this in the slightest because, well, cheating is the entire thing. Fu would then realize that Ibiki isn't saying anything and ask for Naruto's answers because Fu just wanted to cross-check. Both of them got all their answers correct, and Rasha asked if his answers were correct, and they all checked. Basically, they all were like, yeah, we're all good. And the same thing would go because Futsu and Kinta and Chino would all see that the same thing is going on. Also noticing that Sasuke had his Sharingan activated, would realize, hey, cheating is the whole fucking point of this damn thing. Let's just cheat. And so they cheat, and everything goes fucking smoothly. After they all cheat and all passed, they would get into the second round, which is, of course, the Forest of Death. Now, the Forest of Death would probably be something that kind of scares Kinta. Obviously, he's made for ranged combat, and in the Forest of Death, you can be snuck up on pretty easily. And since all of his team is not Sensory type ninja, none of them are actually Sensory type, and he kind of says that they should stick together, and the same thing would go for Futsu and Chino. Obviously, they know they're strong, but the fact is, getting jumped, like, even if you're strong, if you get caught in a trap, or you get ambushed, if a good ambush could basically put you down. Now, if you're Madara, it won't work, but if, like, you're, and I guess if you're Chino, because Chino's technically stronger than a live Madara at this point. Probably a live Hashirama, because we know that 6-Pass Naruto would probably slap both of them, and 6-Pass Sasuke also would as well, and yet a matured 6-Pass Sasuke got clapped by Chino when she was 13. I don't like this anymore. Somebody take me home. I don't like this anymore. Why is Chino so broken? Why? Why is the Ketsu Ryugan so fucking broken? Like, bro, if Danzo had the Ketsu Ryugan, ugh, God, could you imagine a Danzo that's like 6-Pass? He would have just fucking looked at Sasuke, and Sasuke would have exploded in a pile of blood. God damn. Bro, yo, he can manipulate the iron in people? That's what the Ketsu Ryugan can do. He's like fucking Metallica from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. What the fuck? He's just Risotto Nero. Who could have won against Doppio, by the way, but we're not going to get into that. Because this is a Naruto what if, not fucking discussion about how Risotto could have clapped Doppio. Let's get back into this. So, the Forest of Death would, obviously, as I said, Kinta and Chino and Futsu's team would be semi-concerned about this, since Naruto and Rasha are both sensory types, but their team doesn't have any sensory types. And Fu is kind of a sensory type, being a tailed beast, being able to sense things quite well. So they would decide to actually change members for a little bit. Rasha would actually replace Kinta, and Kinta would go with Fu and Naruto, while Rasha, obviously being a better sensory ninja than anybody among the 6 of them, Futsu and Chino would be fucking fine with this. He literally basically is the sensory of a Byakugan, but like better. Like he can like legitimately sense chakra points, and he could probably use the Gentle Fist if he wanted to. Like that's how good he is. He's like Byakugan type level, and he can sense for up to 1 kilometer in every direction. So he basically has a 1 kilometer circle radius of sight. Basically what the Byakugan has, but better because he has 360 sensory and not just 359 or 358 or whatever it was. But he has 360 sensory and like precise sensory. So not only does that, he has like the radar thing, but he can like see that person, see what they're doing, and yeah, it's fucking stupid. And he can sense animals, shadow clones, all this stuff, but not the trees or anything, because that's nature energy, not actual chakra. But yeah, he's just, as I said, really broken. After this, they would all pass pretty easily, but Futsu, Futsu, Rasha, and Chino would all finish, and they would summon in Oyashiro, their sensei, or he would then say, where the hell's Kinta? Why'd you guys split up? I don't know, but the other team better pass soon, Rasha said. I don't want to have to get kicked out just because my teammates were slower than me, or else I would have stayed with them. Just because you 3 are cowards doesn't mean I should suffer because of that. We're not cowards, we're strong, but it's just stupid to go in without a sensory ninja. Futsu would try to argue. Yeah, it's not fair to call us weak. We're incredibly strong, and we're not idiots either. Come on, you know that. You grew up with us, or rather, you train with us. Yeah, I get it. You guys are strong, and I know you are, but it was just really fucking stupid to do this. I hope Naruto gets here soon, Rasha would say, with a tone of concern in his voice. Naruto, Fu, and Kinta would all be running through the forest at high speeds. But as soon as they were about to, well, not as soon as, but basically they would be close to the center of the arena, when they would hear basically a loud crash beside them, but like it was behind them, but it was like southwest behind them. It was southwestern of them. Naruto would decide, hey, let's go check it out, just see what's going on. We could potentially pick up a scroll along the way. Although they had both scrolls, they could just do that, and if the other team, obviously their other Genin team, Rasha, Futsu, and Chino, didn't have a scroll, they could just try and send up a fire to signal the others to get there, because that's what they said. If they got like extra scrolls, they would go up, light a fire, and they would come there. The other team would come there. They didn't know that Futsu, Chino, and Rasha were already there, but they just decided this would be a good idea. They had all the time in the world. They had 3 days, and they were literally nearly there in like 2 hours. Eventually, they would go, giving in to Naruto's curiosity, and Fu, Kinta, and Naruto, Fu, Kinta, and Naruto, they would see Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai, or rather, just Sasuke and Sai, trying to fend off against Orochimaru. You know it's only Sasuke and Sakura Sasuke and Sai, because Sakura's fucking useless. Just how it is, man. Just saying it how it is. Naruto, Fu, and Kinta would be kind of awestruck by this. Like, they knew who Orochimaru was because of the bingo book, and that he was an S-class shinobi, and that he was just in the middle of the Chunin exams and somehow had infiltrated the Leaf Village. Naruto kind of chuckled at this because the Leaf Village was supposed to be one of the Great Five, and Orochimaru just invaded it with no problems whatsoever, which seemed kind of stupid to Naruto. He actually laughed to himself, knowing that his village would never allow someone like Orochimaru to be able to invade them, or get behind their defenses so easily. Naruto, as I said, would laugh at this and think this is pretty stupid, before he would nudge Fu in the side, and Fu would nod at Kinta. Kinta would be sort of nervous, but he would pull 2 scrolls out, eventually summoning 2 of his puppets, and they would all jump down. Or rather, Kinta and Fu would jump down. Fu would go straight and basically start using all the tails that she could at the moment, which was going all the way to the 6-tailed state. Not trying to go the 7th because she didn't want to have everyone see a giant version, just Chome in the middle of the arena. That would have been kind of stupid, but they do see Kinta and Fu go into her 8-tail state, and Kinta basically pull out his 2 strongest puppets, and they both charge at Orochimaru. Orochimaru was already having, like, he wasn't having, like, a hard time, and he had already bitten Sasuke using the curse mark on him, and Sai was still having really difficulty. Like, Sai wasn't obviously the same strength as in Shippuden, but he still was decently strong enough to put up somewhat of a fight against Orochimaru, but Orochimaru would eventually be able to kick him off. But that's when, obviously, as I said, Kinta and Fu would rush in. Now, how does the math add up? If Orochimaru can't handle 4 tails of the 9-tailed beast, could he handle 6 tails of the 7-tailed beast? My analysis? Fuck no. There's no way Orochimaru could handle above 5 tails, because above 5 tails literally means that you could go the 8th gate and live. Or at least Kishimoto said that. And, you know, whatever Kishimoto says is canon. It's just how it is. Just how it is. Alright, can't complain with Kishimoto. Anyways, so because of this, he would basically try his best, but he would eventually get slapped around by Fu so much. And Kinta would also be providing really good range support, because Kinta, obviously, he's a ranged fighter, being a puppet master, but his puppets can also attack close range, but these puppets were really good at long range. Like, he had one that was really defensive, that could do long range attacks, and then the other was like basically like a sniper type thing, but also had like a couple of like really fast shooting techniques. So it was a really good puppet for ranged, and then a really good puppet for like defense, but also had ranged attacks. So yeah, basically 2 ranged puppets, with one being really good at defense that he could just seal himself inside if Orochimaru was going to attack him. Like, it was like a really good defense puppet. And because of this, Orochimaru would basically say, you know what, fuck this, I'm gonna get out of here. But then Naruto would jump out of nowhere, unsheath his sword, and then just cut straight through Orochimaru. Orochimaru wasn't expecting this, and he would flop to the floor, but then he would stitch himself back together and spit himself out of his mouth, eventually saying, I'll see you next time. But Naruto would then do the same thing again, pushing himself to eventually go the 2-tailed beast state, which in this form, Naruto is somewhere around what would be, I don't know, he's not anywhere close to Fu's overall strength, but Fu can only use the 6 tails, sort of like how Guy could use the 8th. Like, she doesn't die from using it, but it really exhausts her, and, like, only after beating Orochimaru for a little, she's out, but Kinta is still providing backup. Naruto would eventually get into the scrap, using everything: the flying Raijin, which would have surprised the hell out of Orochimaru, all 3 of his chakra natures, and all the jutsu he knew in them, his kenjutsu, and his just overall impressive ability would shock Orochimaru to his core. Naruto would just be probably Jonin level at minimum. But then Naruto would probably get tired, and Orochimaru would probably go for the 5-pronged seal. But Naruto would actually jump back, being able to evade this, being much more, in tune than canon. Naruto would sense 3 chakra signatures coming up behind him, and he would dodge out of the way, saying, Kinta, guard yourself. Kinta would jump into his puppet, and the sound blast that went at it would just send the puppet back. Then Kinta would just roll out of the puppet and then start firing rapid fire at where the sound wave had come from, but the 3 ninja managed to dodge in time. This is Kin, Zaku, and Dosu. And Orochimaru would say, take care of them for me, my puppets, and he would try and turn around, but he would get smacked back by a bow staff. Then 2 other ninja would appear in the trees, this being Chino and Futsu. Orochimaru would try to get up, but all of a sudden, metal spikes would start protruding from his body, causing him an immense amount of pain, and him then, well, not protrude from his body, but they would stab into his body from, like, out of nowhere. He would then look over to the blonde-haired girl, and she would have a dojutsu activated that caused blood from her eyes, and looked, pretty, like, had a pretty cool design. The Orochimaru would then vomit himself, but then he would be caught, almost like he couldn't control his body, and then be pushed to the floor, being held there. Not even his jaw, not even allowed itself to open to puke another version of himself out. The other one would then launch a boy, would then go and disappear, coming right beside the boy known as Zaku, and using a boy release technique to literally burn the skin, flesh, and bone until nothing was left except his, like, actually nothing would be left. It just dissolved everything. Kin would be horrified by this, but then a figure would appear behind her, and she would immediately get decapitated by a short sword before Dosu would get smacked over the head with a bow staff, and then get kicked towards Naruto, who would use his sword to plunge straight into the heart of the final person, which was Dosu. All three of the sound trio would be killed, allowing for a trio to go in for the preliminaries, which would eventually happen because, well, yeah. So these three would be subbing for that team, and then Naruto's group of three would actually be subbing for a group that went into the Chunin Exams, or which would be, what's his name? Kabuto's group. So Kabuto's group would actually get in, but I would say, oh, odd numbers and shit like that, and woohoo, but then and the entirety of Kabuto's team would just back down, which would be like, okay, that's kind of weird, but we're gonna fucking roll with it. You already know. So they decided to roll with it, and the preliminaries would start. Now, obviously, none of the, or all of the original canon matchups would go as in canon, with Sasuke having to face off against probably one of the people from Harigakure, and a couple of others probably having to face off because the people that went up against the Kabuto fodder, and the people that went up against, oh, what's his name? God, I can't remember his name. The team that they replaced, the people that went up against, like, Kin, Zaku, and Dosu. So Shikamaru would lose off the bat automatically. I think who went against Dosu? Yeah. That was Shoji who lost. And I can't remember who up against Kin, but whoever goes up against Kin would lose against Rasha, because Rasha's a fucking badass. The other team would probably body everybody they go up against, including, or actually no, I think Sasuke would probably be able to beat, so let's say he goes up against Kinta, which is the weakest of the entire village, basically, at this point, who's, of everybody that's not a Genin, but everybody that is a Genin is better than him, which, sorry Kinta, but it's just how it is. But even at this point, he's still better than Kankuro, but I do believe that Kakashi, with able to seal the curse mark, would be able, Sasuke with his two Tomoe would be able to see and eventually defeat Kinta, but not after a really hard-fought battle. This would or basically sink Kinta's spirits, but Kinta would be told to cheer up, and he would immediately, seeing Chino smile, possibly having, you know, a little crush there. His sensei would smack him on the back of the head, saying, "You did good, kid, but we're gonna have to work on your taijutsu. Once he got up close, he fucking whooped your ass, kid." Yeah, sorry. I didn't think he could actually break the shield puppet. God, I really need to stop putting all my faith in my puppets. I need to definitely learn taijutsu. And also, yeah, maybe even a couple of ninjutsu as well. Who knows, they might come in handy one day. "Yeah, sure, kid. I'll have Pakra teach you some," he would say, rubbing Kinta on his head. Kinta would smile and proceed to watch the rest of the matches. Futsu and Chino would win their matches fucking easily. You know, Chino, stronger than Sasuke. Obviously not completely stronger, because once Sasuke whipped out the Susanoo, she fucking died, but, like, she was able to go toe-to-toe with him, which is saying something. Because everybody else that went toe-to-toe with Stage 6 past Sasuke were Madara, Kaguya, Momoshiki, Urashiki. Those are the only people that have gone toe-to-toe with Sasuke and lived. Although she didn't go toe-to-toe with Sasuke and live, and obviously Naruto, but she was practically tying with him until he pulled out the Susanoo. She literally was beating him, which is something that, like, most nobody in the Naruto universe can say. Like, I don't even think Hiruzen could do that. Which is, yeah, that's really impressive. She was really fighting a good fight against him until he went all like, yeah, you know what? Susanoo time. Haha, Susanoo funny. Susanoo go burr. And, yeah. Eventually, they would get, to the 1 month period between the preliminaries and the finals. And if you're wondering what happens during all the rest of the matches, go watch the Naruto Shippuden thing, because, I mean, the actual Naruto anime, because every other match goes the fucking same. Naruto whoops keeps ass. But that's all the only difference. As everybody else that wins in the original canon actually wins. Besides, oh right, because it was Shino versus Zaku. See, that's who wins against Zaku. So Zaku actually lost because I forgot it was like Shikamaru versus Keen. So yeah, so basically Shikamaru and Shino both lose their matches instead of winning their matches. Sucks for them, and Shino can't impress Tamari, but you know, it's how it be sometimes. So eventually, the 1 month training period would just be spent. Basically, they spent like a day going back to the land, to their village. They have no reason to stay in the village. And they would go back and they would start training. Now, if you're wondering what happened to Orochimaru, they basically, Chino basically literally did what, you know what, oh god, I don't even want to say his name because that was a horrible show, but, Legend of Korra, if you've ever seen it, Amon took away people's bending because he was a bloodbender. It was like his whole thing, and he could, like, cut people's chakra network, or, like, cut their, chakra flow, and that would allow them to not bend anymore. So basically, she did that with Orochimaru, and Orochimaru literally can't use chakra. So yeah, Orochimaru's defeated. Chino is broken, please help me. Besides that, the finals wouldn't be as difficult as they were in the original canon, because everybody that goes in there just freaking slaps, because everybody is at the very least Jonin level, at least everybody from our village. So Naruto claps Neji pretty easily. Fu claps whoever she fights, Rasha claps whoever he fights, Futsu claps whoever he fights, and Chino claps whoever she fights. Gaara vs Sasuke would still go down the same way, and Naruto would head out. Rasha, Fu being not affected by the Genjutsu, but Futsu, Kinta, and Chino all would be. Chino obviously not having her Ketsurigan activated. Kinta not having any resistance to Genjutsu, neither does Futsu, and Pakura having a resistance to Genjutsu would be able to help, and she would basically send a sharp punch and seal that would get In Oyashiro out of the Genjutsu. She wouldn't want to do it to her other 3 students. Rather to her 3 students. Oh no, hers are Naruto, Fu, and Rasha, but she wouldn't want to do it to In's students because she would leave him to go do that. So he would wake up Futsu, Kinta, and Chino, and they would all help take out just random Sound and Sand Ninja, while the Hokage would actually be fighting the actual Kazekage. Like, the actual Kazekage would be fighting the actual Hokage. Not being as confident because, well, obviously, the Barrios would be put up at Sound 4 as ordered by Kabuto, and Kabuto would go to release Orochimaru, eventually releasing Orochimaru, but Orochimaru kind of had the problem that he did in canon, but only to the much worse degree, having literally not being able to use chakra. But Orochimaru would still escape from the prison that he was being held in, and I do believe after this, I think Kabuto would join the fight, and I think Kabuto would basically semi-turn the tides, but I still think that Kazekage would die by being Reaper Death Sealed, so he and Hiruzen would both die. Kabuto would leave with Orochimaru, and the Sound 4 would leave, and Naruto, Fu, and Rasha would whoop
the One Tail's ass. So yeah, Shukaku just gets fucked over. Naruto uses the Talk no Jutsu, and bada bing, bada boom, we are to the end of the finals of the Chunin Exams. The Chunin Exams arc is over, and that, my friends, is another the first part to this series completed. I hope y'all enjoyed. I really do. I really am kind of going a little outlandish with this series, sort of more into the realm of what ifs. Fan fiction rather than just strictly scientific what ifs, or sticking to a little bit more of a canon-y side. This is more of the fan fiction side, although you could say a lot of them are fan fiction-y because, well, I do add in a lot of, like, my own touches, but that's just because I want to make a story interesting and not just have it bland, like, oh no, Naruto has the Sharingan, he gets 2 Tomoe, 3 Tomoe, Monkagekyo. It's stupid. Fucking stupid. Why would you have your story be just fucking that? That would just be stupid. You know, you gotta create something interesting, because we're just going over the same old things time and time again. Your stories get old, boring quickly. So that is exactly why I like to add in OCs, bring in characters that weren't discovered a lot, such as Pakura and Oyashiro, Chino, and Futsu. All 4 of those characters were actually characters in Naruto. Kinta and Rasha are definitely OCs, and you will see what I do with them in the next part. Besides that, go check out It's AG, Kira Gem, Josh Love Anime, Red Demon of the Leaf, and Izukage. Check out all those guys, and also Road to 1,000 subscribers, gang. Let's get to 1,000 subscribers before January 1st of 2021. And with that out of the way, I hope you guys have a great day, and I will see you all in the next video. Goodbye.